I'm here to speak briefly about the Endemic Infrastructures Working Group and some of the themes and the questions that we're engaging. This is an interdisciplinary working group, which is focusing on how understandings and experiences of threat and risk, of security and insecurity are produced and also negotiated at the intersections of data flows, technological systems, and the built environment. So one of the ways that I think that this theme contributes to the overall efforts of the Security in Context project is really in how it's thinking about new political challenges around things like the proliferation of smart infrastructure, of the globalization of security and surveillance technologies, and also questions around things like social cohesion and disinformation outside of the context of the US, Europe, and the UK, where a lot of these modes of inquiry, I think, are often situated. So this group is really focusing on the transnational dynamics of these shifts. A number of members of our group are looking at these questions from a global South perspective, and our working group members are very diverse in their approaches. So they're academics, but also activists and practitioners, and so they're coming to these questions and engagements in lots of different ways. The group right now is currently thinking through the scope of this project around three themes. And so the first theme we're calling the planetary drift of carceral reason. So here we're asking what kinds of security politics and geopolitical relations are driving the global dissemination of technologies that are used for surveillance, that are used for data capture, and also carceral enclosure. So we're interested in how technologies designed for different purposes are really pulled into the gravitational sphere of global security, of carcerality and surveillance regimes, and also to what effect. Within this theme, we're also looking at the challenges that these apparatuses reveal and pose to our understandings of things like privacy, rights, and transparency, which really, depending on where you're writing from, can have different meanings and different possibilities. And we're also looking at the kinds of local and institutional responses that are needed to address the carceral creep of technologies that are used to facilitate so many facets of our everyday life. The second theme is, sorry, just started pouring here in Honolulu. I'm not sure if you can hear that. The second theme is we're calling the communication and contestation after the public. So this theme considers the shift from public spaces to media spaces, and then back again into public spaces, elite-driven media sources, and the kind of shift to user-generated content, and also the interfacing of state propaganda and multi-actor information ecologies of disinformation and misinformation that are altering capacities for communication and also control. So here we're looking at things like memes, doxing, network disruption, deep fakes, right? How are these things fundamentally altering the nature of political discourse and political action? Or are they just merely intensifying the enmity of cities, right, that are already striated by racialized and class divisions? So these are questions that we're looking at. We're also interested in how these media ecologies interface with escalating violence in cities and urban spaces that are over-policed and where people are underrepresented within established modes of government and political organization. And we're exploring in different ways what new forms of political action and direct action are emerging and changing the dynamics of power and resistance in this context. The third theme we're calling Design in Crisis, Crisis in Design. So under this theme, we're exploring the kinds of life worlds that are being designed and deployed in surveillance-saturated spaces for commerce, for security and living, where states of exception have really become the new normal. So we're looking at the inheritances of built environments in this context and what kinds of futures they're bringing into being or potentially preventing from coming into being. We're looking at how design and engineering reproduce past and present inequalities, and also, again, the inheritances of these infrastructural practices. And then finally, we're looking at the kinds of relations and also intimacies that are exposed to increased predation, while other relations may be foreclosed entirely. And also, the unaccounted novelties and new forms of life that are emerging in spite of these kinds of best laid plans of designers and engineers. So we, in terms of things that we're organizing right now, we're thinking through organizing a number of symposia around these themes. We have a group publication on the theme that we're planning, and then also a 2-day workshop that's focused on mentorship for junior scholars and graduate students around this theme, which is modeled in part around some of the work that we've done with the Beirut Summer School and Security Studies presented with the ACSS, and which I'm really grateful that I've been able to be a part of since its inception. So yeah, we're really excited about future collaborations with security and context colleagues, and also if anybody's interested in the group who is watching and wants to get involved in any capacity, please feel free to get in touch. Thank you.